Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 family dinner recipe ideas, and I'm going to be using 1 whole chicken for 4 of these recipes, so make sure you stick around to see how I did that. Also, stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to be sharing with you a healthy cookie recipe for dessert or for breakfast, whichever you prefer. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel if you do. And if you make any of these recipes, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you made. Let me know what you thought about it. And yeah, let's go ahead and get to cooking. So the first recipe in this video is going to be a roasted whole chicken and potatoes, and I'm also going to be making a side salad to go with it. So first, I'm just going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 350. I've already rinsed my chicken and I put it in this roasting pan, and I'm going to be using black pepper, blackening season, garlic powder, lemon and pepper seasoning, onion powder, sea salt. I'm going to be using the juice from 1 lemon, and you're going to want to go ahead and save that lemon, 3 tablespoons of butter, and 3 tablespoons of melted butter. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is add in my lemon juice to my melted butter, and then I'm going to start adding in all of my seasonings, starting with garlic powder here. And I do not measure any of this stuff out, you guys. If you're the type of person that needs measurements, I will try to find a recipe very similar to this and link it in the description box below if I can, but I just do not measure stuff out. I always eyeball everything, and I don't think that you can do too much seasoning on this. So if you think it's not enough, just go a little bit more and you're not gonna mess it up, I promise. Once you're done mixing all of your seasonings together, you're just going to go ahead and distribute this throughout the chicken. And I like to use my hands for this. It is messy and kind of nasty feeling, but if you just work it all in there, it really helps to add the flavor to every inch of this chicken.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking, we'll get away.
Now I'm going to start taking my butter that I did not melt, and I'm going to start placing it underneath the skin, and you're just going to do this all throughout the chicken until you've used up all of your butter.
Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it.
Okay, like I said before, you never can have enough seasoning, so I'm just going to go back over this with some salt, pepper, some lemon pepper, and then some blackening season. And this blackening season adds so much flavor and crispiness to the outside. And I'm just going to turn it over and do the same thing to the top. And I'm going to be leaving the chicken this side up when I am roasting it. So the lemons that I had you save at the beginning, you're going to go ahead and stuff those into the chicken, and that just adds a lot of moisture and flavor. And then I'm just adding some parsley on top.
Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche, we're on the run.
And I'm just going to cook this 20 minutes per pound, and mine was about 5 pounds, so I'm going to be cooking it for 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Somehow we can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out.
So now that my counter is all sanitized, I'm going to go ahead and start on my potatoes. And I already went ahead and got these washed, and I'm going to go ahead and slice them in half 2 times, and then I will start slicing them into little cubes. And you don't want to make these too thick, just so that they don't take as long to cook. So to season these, I am going to use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and I'm just going to put a couple of tablespoons on top of there, and then I'm going to be seasoning it with some salt, some black pepper, some onion powder, and some thyme. And once again, I do not measure any of these out, so just kind of eyeball it. Once again though, you cannot mess these up. So now I just pulled the chicken out, and I'm just going to put these potatoes all around the chicken, and these will soak up all of the chicken juices and really roast and get nice and soft, and they will be so good. One thing I would like to mention though is that I put these in at about 45 minutes till the chicken was done, and I probably should have put them in at about an hour before the chicken was done, because I did have to cook them about 10 to 15 minutes longer. So just beware of that whenever you are putting your potatoes in. So I wanted to make a side salad to go with this meal, so I just used everything that I had in my fridge before it went bad. I had some romaine lettuce, celery, carrots, some cucumber, some broccoli. I also had some red onion, and I am going to be putting some cherry tomatoes on this as well. But you definitely do not need all of these ingredients to make a salad. You can use whatever you have on hand. I just happened to have all of this stuff on hand, and they needed to be used before they went bad, so I decided to make this large salad that would last us for a few days.
Pushing the past again, no. You know my little triggers keep on triggering them all. I've had
this chicken turned out beautiful. Look how crispy it is. It was really juicy and tender on the inside. The skin was nice and crispy, and all of the potatoes soaked up the chicken juices and gave it just so much more flavor. And the salad really just pulled the meal together, and it was just so good. I highly encourage you to try this. Like I said before, you cannot mess this up. As long as you don't burn your chicken, you are not going to mess this up. So I highly recommend it. Also, we use the leftover chicken for the next 3 meals that I'm going to make, but if you do not have any leftover chicken, you can easily make some chicken breast or chicken thighs, whichever you prefer, and that will work perfectly for the next 3 meals. But I didn't want to have any waste from this good chicken, so we just used the leftovers. And the next night we had this Mia oven-fired pizza crust, and I'm going to be making a barbecue chicken pizza with this. We picked this up at Walmart, and it tells you to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. And now I'm just putting some foil down on this sheet pan, that way I have less dishes to do. But this comes with 2 pizza crusts, but for my family I'm only going to be using 1. And I'm going to go ahead and slice up some red onion. I did not even use 1/4 of this onion, so you really don't need that much. And I'm just going to slice it up a little thinner to go on top of the pizza. Now I'm just using some of this leftover chicken breast from the night before, and I'm going to chop this up into little cubes. So you're going to want to take some extra virgin olive oil and just sprinkle a little bit on top, and then you're going to want to rub that all over the pizza crust. I think this helps it give it a nice crispy texture. So I'm going to use Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce for this. You can use any barbecue sauce you like. This is just my family's favorite, and it's kind of the only one I ever buy. So this is what we like to use for this pizza. And you're just going to go ahead and make sure your crust is completely covered. And now I'm going to go ahead and use a little mozzarella and put down just a very thin layer. This just gives your chicken and your onion something to grab onto so it doesn't slide right off of your pizza. And then you're going to go ahead and put on your chicken and your onion, and you're just going to do this by sight. Once again, just use however much you want. Can't mess it up, I promise you. But once you're done with that, you're just going to cover completely with cheese and then put it in the oven. Went ahead and started this off with 10 minutes, and I think I went ahead and let it go for like 12, and then I put it under the broiler for a couple of minutes, and I definitely left it under the broiler a few seconds too long, so it got pretty brown, but it was still really good. Just make sure if you do put it under the broiler that you are watching, because it will brown fast. And I'm gonna go ahead and use some of the salad from the night before to go with this pizza. This pizza is so good. I make it a couple of times a month probably, and it is so much better than store-bought or even getting it at like Domino's or Papa John's or somewhere. It is so much better than that. So I definitely recommend you try this at home. If you like barbecue chicken pizza, this is the way to go. So for my next meal, I'm going to be doing chicken quesadillas. So I have some jalapeno, some black bean, some sweet corn, and those are just out of the can. I also have some diced onion here left over from the pizza night, and then some chicken left over from the roasted chicken. And then I just mixed some cheddar cheese and some Monterey Jack together, some tortillas, and you're going to want some type of cooking spray. I'm going to be cooking this in a cast iron skillet because I like the flavor that it gives, and then I'm just going to turn this on medium heat. And once your skillet heats up, you're just going to spray it and lay your first tortilla down. Now, it doesn't really matter the way that you put your toppings on, as long as you start with cheese and end with cheese. That way it gives the tortillas something to stick to. You can make this however you want to. You can leave out some of the things I have here, or you can add in something. You can make it vegetarian and do it without chicken. Just do it however that you want to do it. So I'm just going to add in all of my vegetables, and then I'm going to finish it off with cheese and then top it with my tortilla. And now I just like to press down the sides all the way around, just to kind of close up the tortillas together. That way when you're eating it, it doesn't fall out, and also when you flip it in the pan, it doesn't go flying everywhere. But look how nice that looks. It gets a nice little brown crispiness to it. And once the bottom's done, you're just going to take it out, let it cool for a few minutes, and then slice it.
Time looks like you can't do better, so much better. I don't fit into your box, beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better, I dare you to be wilder. I don't fit into.
Look how good these look. All of that cheese in there. These turned out so good. I love them so much, and like I said, you can make them however you want to. I just went ahead and used some salsa to dip them in, and these were a total hit with my family.
Let yourself be free, and maybe you will find that there is more to life than being pretty. Honey, let's just face it, you can do better. Let me show you what a good time looks like. You can do better, so much better.
So for the next recipe, I'm going to be using this boxed pasta salad from Hidden Valley Ranch, and I'm just going to be following the directions on the back. There's a little recipe card that tells you can add in some stuff to it, and that's going to be broccoli, mayonnaise, milk, Parmesan cheese, cooked chicken, carrots, and diced red onion. And so I'm going to be adding that all into my salad. I'm going to be using the rest of my chicken that I have left over from the whole chicken we cooked at the beginning of this video. And first I'm just going to go ahead and get some water boiling. That way I can go ahead and get my pasta going, and while that is going to be boiling, I'm going to start by adding in my mayonnaise. And it calls for half a cup, but since I'm going to be doubling this recipe for my family, I'm going to be using a whole cup and a whole cup of milk. And I didn't have Parmesan cheese, so I used cheddar cheese, and then I'm just adding in my dry mixtures.
You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. I don't fit into your box. Beauty queens without no gloves. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. I don't fit into your box. Beauty queens without no gloves. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder.
Now that the pasta is done boiling, you're going to be rinsing this with cold water because this is kind of a cold salad, and it definitely would have been a lot better if I would let it set in the fridge for a little while. But you're going to rinse it with cold water and then pour it into your wet mixture that you just made, and then you'll start adding in all of your other ingredients.
Yeah, I'm feeling what we are now. I'm laying down on the ground. All I do is thinking.
So now I'm adding in my chicken, my carrots, and then I'm adding in the broccoli, the onion, and I'm going to mix this all together.
You're messing with my head. I'm ending up so clueless. What are you trying to find? I'm running with these emotions.
This meal was so simple. I think it took me about 20 minutes to completely get it done and in the bowls, ready to be eaten, and it was very good, so I highly recommend you try this. And for the next recipe, you're going to be needing 1 bunch of asparagus, some butter, a lemon, some black pepper, some salt, some minced garlic. I just like to use the kind in the jar, and however many salmon patties you will need for your family. And first I'm going to go ahead and start by taking all of my stems off the end of my asparagus.
All I do is thinking out loud. Yeah, I'm vibing with all we have. I'm feeling what we are now. All I do is thinking out loud. Cause I'm running with these emotions, stumbling out of bed. One hell of a roller coaster. You're messing with my head. I'm ending up so clueless. What are you trying to find? I'm running with these emotions. Tell me, what do you want?
Then you are going to need the juice from half of a lemon, and I'm going to use the other half for garnishment. So I'm going to go ahead and slice that up. After you get the juice out of your lemon, you're going to want to make sure you keep your peel because we're going to be using it later on in the recipe. So I'm going to be using a large cast iron skillet for this, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn it on medium heat. I did turn it on medium-high, but I ended up having to turn it down a little bit. And I'm just going to go ahead and put 2 tablespoons of butter in there and get that melting. And then I'm going to go over here, and before I started seasoning this, I just patted my salmon down with paper towels to get the moisture out, and then just salt and pepper them. Then I'm just going to make sure my butter is spreading around in the pan nice and evenly. And then you're going to go ahead and add in 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Like I said, I just like to use this pre-made that comes in the jar. After letting your garlic saute for a few minutes, go ahead and add in all of your asparagus, and it is going to be quite a bit for your pan, but that's okay, it will start to cook down. So halfway through cooking these, I'm just going to go ahead and salt and pepper them, and you're going to want to keep turning these every few minutes. You don't want them to burn, but you do want them to get a nice sauteed brown on them. So I went ahead and let these go for about 10 minutes, and I'm just going to put them on this foil lined baking sheet just to get them out of the way for a minute while I cook my salmon, but keep them close by because you will be putting these back in once the salmon is done. And I'm going to go ahead and add 1 more tablespoon of butter just to give the salmon a nice little coating so it won't stick to the pan. And go ahead and add your salmon in. You want to do skin side up first. After about 5 minutes, they should start getting a nice little golden brown underneath, and you're going to want to go ahead and flip them and cook them for about 3 to 4 more minutes. So while that is finished cooking, I am just going to chop up some cilantro that my husband went and picked for me out of our garden, and I'm going to be putting that on top once everything is done. So once the salmon was done, I just went ahead and turned off the heat, and now I'm just adding the asparagus back into the pan, and this will help reheat it. And also I'm going to be taking the lemon juice and just pouring it all over everything, kind of making sure to get it evenly distributed.
It started out like a movie scene.
And now to garnish it, I'm just going to take the lemon that I sliced up earlier and the lemon peel that I saved. I'm going to be zesting it, and I didn't have a real zester, but I just used the fine part of my cheese grater.
All of a sudden it became reality. Don't care about no.
And then I'm just going to add my cilantro on top, and it is done. This meal turned out so good. I absolutely loved it. My husband loved it. My 2-year-old daughter even loved it, and it is hard to get her to eat anything. If you have toddlers, you know how that goes, but this is just so good. I highly recommend you try this, even if you are not a fish person, because a couple months ago before I tried this, I wasn't either, and it truly has changed me towards fish. I absolutely love it, and it is extremely healthy.
For you, I'd do anything, my remedy. You gave me a purpose, now I'm on my feet. I'm dancing to the pounding of your heartbeat. You're right.
for the cookie recipe, you're going to be needing 1/4 cup of Lily's milk chocolate chips, 1½ cups of old-fashioned oats, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1½ tablespoons of chia seed, 2 to 3 tablespoons of peanut butter, and I'm using Crazy Richards. You're also going to need 2 tablespoons of honey and 3 ripe bananas. So I'm first going to start by adding all of my bananas to a bowl and mashing them, and once they are completely mashed all together, I will start adding my other ingredients. Now I'm just going to add in all of my ingredients, and it does not matter which order you add these in. They are all going to be going in, and then you're going to be mixing them all together.
You told me more than once to show you my intention. My brain gets blocked at times, but now somehow I'll give you my attention. You've got to know that I ain't a person who understands all the clockwork.
You're going to want to heat your oven to 350, and I just lined a baking sheet with these silicone mats. If you don't have these, you can use parchment paper, and I'm just using a cookie scoop to scoop these out. You could use an ice cream scoop to make these bigger, and you wouldn't have as many, but once these are done, you're going to bake these depending on how big you make them. If you make them small like mine, these took about 9 minutes. And if you make them a little larger, you may want to cook them for about 10 to 12 minutes. And I'm just going to let these go in, and then once they come out, I'm going to put them on a cooling rack and let them cool. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps out my channel whenever you do. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe down below and hit the bell. And if you make any of these recipes and you enjoy them, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of them. Let me know what you made. And you guys, I will see you in my next video. Bye.
I'll be there if you reach out to me.